I'm Leah Hoover from Oregon Trail Electric Cooperative in Baker City, Oregon. Welcome to Along Those Lines.
Support for this podcast comes from 2024 NRECA Power Exchange and Tech Advantage, March 3rd through 6th in San Antonio. NRECA members register now on cooperative.com to make valuable connections and get up to date on issues and trends that are impacting our industry.
Hi, everyone. This is a podcast about electric cooperatives, the work they do, and the challenges they face. I'm your host, Scott Hoffman. The Achieving Cooperative Community Equitable Solar Sources, or ACCESS project, is a 3-year effort funded by the Department of Energy, in which electric cooperatives have worked on innovative ways to bring the benefits of solar power to their low and moderate income members. It's the flagship component of NRECA's broader Energy Access for All initiative. We focused an Along Those Lines podcast on ACCESS back in April 2021 as the project was just ramping up. Now, as ACCESS is set to wind down this month, we'll talk with Lisa Slaughter, NRECA research engineer, about what it accomplished. And later, we'll hear from Marshall Cherry, president and CEO of Roanoke Electric Cooperative, about how ACCESS helped them expand offerings to their low-income members. Lisa, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Okay, so why don't you start us off with a high-level description of what the ACCESS project is. How does it work? When did it start? Stuff like that.
Happily. The ACCESS project stands for Achieving Cooperative Community Equitable Solar Sources. And as the name suggests, it's all about community solar. What we're doing is investigating different financial mechanisms and program designs for community solar programs that are geared specifically towards low and moderate income communities.
And this is, I assume, it's a federal program that we sort of won a grant for or won an application for?
Yes, that's correct. This project is funded by the Solar Energy Technologies Office, CETO.
I know that there was a sort of a chunk of co-ops that we were working with specifically on this. How many co-ops were there and which ones were they?
Yeah, there's 5 leader cooperatives involved in the project. Those 5 leader cooperatives are Anza Electric Cooperative, Roanoke Electric Cooperative, Kit Carson Electric Cooperative, Oklahoma Electric Cooperative, and Orca's Power and Light Company.
The ACCESS project, I know, is part of a broader initiative that NRECA started called the Energy Access for All. Talk about what that project is and how ACCESS fits in.
Yes. The ACCESS project is the flagship project for the Energy Access for All initiative, which more broadly, again, as the name suggests, is focused on increasing access to all of these new energy technologies that are being implemented as part of this vast energy transition that we're experiencing. And essentially, it's trying to make sure that nobody is left behind in that transition.
Talk a little bit about how NRECA, through the ACCESS project, helped the participating co-ops with their individual projects. Was there grant money involved? Was there technical assistance?
Yeah, the ACCESS team was able to work with the cooperatives to keep track of all their projects and programs and how the implementation and installations of solar were going. And in some cases, there were challenges encountered that were unexpected. And the NRECA team was able to assist the co-ops in identifying options for solution. In other cases, we were able to help them apply for the technical assistance provided through the National Solar Community Partnership, which is a CETO affiliated initiative that sets aside money for technical assistance related to solar and also has an entire list of partners that they can match applicants up with.
Talk a little bit about the 5 co-ops that were involved in the projects. Were they all fairly similar, these projects, or did each co-op have a different membership they were serving, different technical specifications? Kind of walk us through what each of them did.
Yeah, every single one of the projects was unique in their own right, although all of them share the common thread of being a community solar project explicitly provided for low to moderate income consumers. Opalco, their project is unique in that they're piloting a iron flow battery, a hybrid iron flow battery coupled with a lithium ion battery. Oklahoma Electric Cooperative is working with the Norman Public Schools system to take their solar that they have on the roof and implement a solar garden and education center. And it's really exciting because there aren't many opportunities in Oklahoma for members to learn about solar. So this initiative has become really popular in their local community, and it's essentially offsetting 100% of the energy bill for 2 high schools in the Norman Public School System. And the entire Norman Public School System serves over 50% of their student population free or reduced cost lunches.
That's amazing. So, and we're going to be talking to Marshall Cherry a little bit later, and we'll get the details on their project down in Roanoke. But why don't you give us a quick summation of what Roanoke did?
Roanoke's community solar program interfaces with other service offerings that they have. It doesn't only address solar access, but it's also incorporating considerations of land lease issues. So keeping land in the family for farmers that are working that land. And also, there's a big issue regarding health and safety barriers for energy upgrades in homes. And through their program, they're able to address some of those issues, such as weatherization, roof issues, holes in the windows, things like that.
It really sounds like this project was more than just solar. It sounds like there was a real initiative with each of these projects to help communities that otherwise wouldn't have access to this power, not only get access, but lift themselves up a little bit.
Absolutely. One of the great things about community solar and any energy project really is that there's these great opportunities for co-benefits. And in that way, we can stack the value and maximize the value.
So Access is wrapping up this year. It was a 3-year project, and it's sort of the last chunk of its life cycle. Can you talk a little bit at this point about what the total impact has been? Has there been a reckoning on how much new solar is out there, or any new data that helped to spread through the network?
The leader cooperatives have consistently been able to save their members at least 10%. And in some cases, they're able to save their members 100% on their electricity bill. It's revolutionary. And by disseminating these stories, other cooperatives have seen the value of community solar for low and moderate income communities and are picking up the torch. And through the Access resources, we're able to reduce the overhead required in designing and developing a new program.
And so the resources you mentioned, how are they available to other electric co-ops? Is it on coop.com? Is there a report coming out at the end? Talk a little bit about how to access the data that you've collected.
All of the above, actually. We have the Access website available on cooperative.com, which provides links to all of the resources that were developed under the Access project. There's also a quick start guide to help walk you through the resources and the process that you would follow to develop the new community solar program for your co-op, as well as things to think about as you do so.
And so is there going to be a final report at the end? Is there something that you owe the federal government to sort of quantify everything that was done and everything that's in place?
Yep. At the end, we're going to be uploading a final financial analysis that is an overview of all of the program designs and financial mechanisms that were utilized and investigated under the Access project.
I want to ask you sort of a philosophical question, because most of the members who are benefiting from these Access projects are probably getting affordable, reliable power already. What is it about renewables and access to these new technologies that is important to get out into these communities? Why would we make this effort?
Historically, with new technologies, we've seen that early adopters tend to be very affluent individuals. And there's a lag between when the less affluent individuals are able to uptake these technologies and when the more affluent individuals uptake to these technologies. And it could have to do, one, with disposable wealth, but also risk as well. So less affluent people are less able to absorb that risk. This also comes into play when we're talking about resiliency. We're also looking under the Energy Access for All initiative, we're also looking at how resiliency may or may not be equal across income levels. In current recovery and resilience planning processes, it's not on purpose, but inherently there's an assumption, just because of the math and the way that we do it, there's inherently assumption that outages affect every individual equally. But we know that not to be the case. Like I just said, individuals who are less affluent are less able to absorb risk than individuals who are affluent, and an outage is a risk.
So I know you're probably in the process of writing the final report. Would you say that Access, looking back now, has been a success? Did you meet all or most of the goals that you had hoped to?
We feel that Access has exceeded our expectations. The amount of interest in community solar programs, specifically for low and moderate income communities, is high. And the programs have proven to be valuable to co-ops and to communities as well. The feedback is great. And the amount of savings is great.
It's been a 3-year project. It's sort of come up on our radar over the years. It's nice to see it wrap up, and it's nice to get a sort of a final look at how everything went. So, Lisa, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing what you know.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's pause here for a word from our sponsor, and when we come back, we'll talk to Marshall Cherry in North Carolina.
Support for Along Those Lines comes from 2024 NRECA Power Exchange and Tech Advantage. Co-located in San Antonio, March 3rd through 6th, these events offer NRECA members cutting-edge content from industry experts as well as the popular expo. At Power Exchange, co-op leaders will share ideas, strategies, and best practices about the critical issues impacting our industry. At Tech Advantage, co-op technology leaders will gain a 360-degree view of the solutions that promise to drive co-op efficiency and enhance strategic planning. Register now on cooperative.com.
I'm Devin Skaggs from Bowie Cass Electric Cooperative in Douglasville, Texas, and you're listening to Along Those Lines.
Welcome back. Roanoke Electric Cooperative in northeastern North Carolina was one of 7 co-ops to participate in the Access project. Their Solar Share program is an innovative mix of initiatives, including small community solar arrays, energy efficiency programs, philanthropic work, and land preservation efforts. Here to talk about that is Roanoke CEO Marshall Cherry. Marshall, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Scott. It's my pleasure. I look forward to today's conversation.
So Roanoke was one of the first co-ops to sign up for the Access project. Talk a little bit about how you decided to get involved and why.
Yes. So it's interesting at the time, and this goes back a few years, I want to say 2019. And at the time, I was actually chief operating officer here at Roanoke. And I was connecting with Dora Phoebe, who worked at NREC at the time, who reached out regarding a solar proposal that NRECA was submitting to DOE through their Solar Energy Technology Office. I believe they called that the CETO office. And the timing was great for that due to some of the work we were doing, really trying to plant seeds to engage landowners in our service territory who had participated or who were participating in Roanoke Cooperative's Sustainable Forestry and Land Retention Program to potentially look at a way to lease land, have them lease land that could house solar plus battery storage projects that could be a resource in Roanoke Cooperative's energy resources footprint. And so particularly serving as a resource to avoid demand costs is what we were after during peak periods. And so that project, the Sustainable Forestry and Land Retention Project, of course, is a Roanoke-led effort that has been in existence now for about 10 years. And what that does is it helps families in the region increase their income and asset value of family-owned forest land and encourages forest health and land retention by improving engagement with agencies like the USDA and RCS. So the project, the Access project, gave us, no pun, but it gave us access to peers who were doing similar work that would allow us to implement the very best practices as we were working toward bringing projects online ourselves.
The project that you introduced as your entry into the Access initiative is called Solar Share. Walk us through some of the details of how it works.
Yes, absolutely. So the Roanoke Solar Share project is a program I'll call that's gained a lot of traction among clean energy funders. So we're excited about that. And that is to support our ability to pass through community solar ownership to income qualified households. So most of the funding that we're receiving is used as a means to leverage credits being provided to offset investments that we're needing to make to fully enroll homes with urgent repair needs into Roanoke Cooperative's inclusive utility investment program known as Upgrade to Save. We're able to do things like we do roof repairs, floor repairs, and other issues that could compromise weatherization needs at homes. And so through our Upgrade to Save program, what we've learned is that about 1 out of every 2 homes that we would visit or try to enroll has a need for urgent repair. And so that really compromised our ability to make impact on delivering weatherization and HVAC installs because of the fact that we had a lot of emergency or urgent repair needs in our service territory. And so the other side of that, Scott, is we already had some at the time, smaller scale community solar projects online. And so what that did was it allowed us to subscribe to underutilized capacity due to limited community solar participation, primarily due to energy burden or energy poverty. That's pretty prevalent here in our service territory. So we were able to partner with our generation and transmission cooperative, NCMC. And so our plan, and soon to be coming online, is to purchase or to install 2 solar plus battery storage projects or bringing them online. And with that, they would give us additional capacity, but also serve as a resource for Roanoke Cooperative and NCMC's footprint. So I like to think of Solar Share as being a means to bring together solar ownership and energy efficiency to fully meet the needs in addressing energy burden, again, that's very prevalent in our service territory.
So ultimately, what happened is, and I can't remember if you said it's been built or it's getting built now. It's small installations that have been installed in different parts of your territory that can then serve directly the members that are nearby.
That is what will happen. We had a smaller scale one that was already here because Roanoke participated in an initial tranche of community solar projects in partnership with NCMC about 7 years ago. So we were able to really implement that array to be a community solar project. And so we started the discussions to bring on some more physical assets around 2019. And I want to say Q1 of 2024, we should be bringing those online.
So in order for it to sort of fit into this access model, which is specifically for low income, you've done something different, I think, than other co-ops. You've gone out and gotten philanthropic contributions to offset what it would cost a member to buy into this project. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in practice, at the very beginning, when we started all of this, the clean energy support has been really paramount because what our quandary has been is we had, again, the underutilization of solar subscriptions on a community solar array. We have this high impact tariff on bill financing or inclusive utility investment program called Upgrade to Save, whereas we're trying to implement energy efficiency measures. And there's been a disconnect in the fact that there were urgent repair issues at homes that prohibited all of our applicants to participate in that program. So we kind of like to think of it this way, that the philanthropic support sponsors the community solar subscriptions. Those subscriptions provide the credits for the individuals who are stuck in that holding pattern, who are income qualified, not able to move forward with addressing urgent repair needs in their homes. So the credits that are produced from the solar ownership that they have at their disposal now provides funding that offsets an additional investment that's needed in that home, in some cases up to about $7,500 to repair the roof. And once that roof is repaired, now we can actually enroll that home into the very program where we need them. So it's almost a marriage of solar and energy efficiency that brings a holistic approach or all the above approach in a low income community.
That's incredible. That's great. I mean, it really gets the envelope taken care of and then the renewable beyond that. You've hit on this a couple times, but talk a little bit about the member demographics that you serve. I know you have a lot of low and middle income or moderate income folks in your territory. Give us a sense of who your membership is.
Yes, absolutely. So you heard me mention earlier, there was a term that many people may not know, but it's called energy burden. And energy burden is when at least 6% of your household funding is going into energy costs. And that means there's a significant portion of dollars that are going into the household that are actually spent in energy dollars. And we have a significant portion of our service territory, upwards to close to about 30, somewhere between 30 and 40% of our membership who are there. 5 out of the 7 counties that Roanoke's footprint actually covers has been in persistent poverty. And persistent poverty means that county was actually at an income level that was poverty stricken for at least 30 years. So those are some of the things that we do, see ourselves, the challenge that we're up against whereas when we're trying to deliver affordable electricity within our service territory. And so that kind of gives, I guess, a good synopsis there of what our footprint looks like. Our team is built certainly to address the needs because we understand what is at stake here and our opportunities that we have available to us to make impact and really change the trajectory of our service territory and lives and families.
Yeah. So were you hearing from your membership that, we want to participate in this energy transition? We want to be using cleaner energy and using the solar that we're hearing so much about, but it's out of our reach. Was that something that was conveyed to you in a proactive way, and then you went out, or is this something that you you knew it was there and started this program in order to meet a need that you knew that was there?
I'll say kind of all the above there. Not directly though. It was really more indirect from the membership. The question wasn't really asked per se, but we understood the questions that we would receive on a yearly basis when it
Right.
comes to energy costs. So we felt there was an indirect ask based on data really, and we had this high impact program again called Upgrade to Save and the Community Solar Garden. And also another piece of that, some of the work we've done with Touchstone Energy over the years through the Cooperative Difference Survey, we learned that Roanoke, although we had a community solar offer, we had one of the lowest take rates in America when we looked at how other cooperatives were faring when it came to offering community solar subscriptions to their communities. And so we acknowledged that. And so with that, this kind of brought us to a point where we understood that we have to make a difference. We are the economic engine. We are a significant component of what drives our economies here. That's what we're charged to do here. The cooperatives were found, right, to address inequities. And so here we are living in it when we look at many of our member owners who struggle. And so this was an opportunity for us to make an impact. And we're seeing anecdotally in many cases, but also as we get people enrolled in programs like Upgrade to Save, their savings there. And of course, we've even been able to partner with some of our community action agencies who have worked with us to blend some of their work in weatherization with solar ownership to make sure that we're bringing additional impact to individuals. And so we're seeing a lot of success, but certainly there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in order for us to make the impact that we're after here.
Once you get these first projects online, are you already making plans to expand, or are you going to assess and see where to go next?
We're actually having discussions now internally. There are some other circuits within our service territory that could prove to be friendly toward us actually delivering some more. We've been in conversation again with more landowners who are actively participating in our land retention project. So there's an opportunity there for us to continue some of our expansion work. So yes, definitely that is of interest to us.
So, in a sort of philosophical way, why is it important for low and moderate income members? I mean, they're already getting low cost, affordable, reliable power from you. What is it about access to renewables and clean energy that's important beyond just the core function of the co-op?
So it's interesting. So again, price point wise, yes, they may be getting access, but usage wise and perception wise, individuals may not see it as being low cost. And so that's where energy burden comes into play as well, as I've mentioned that earlier. But access to renewables and clean energy is crucial to me for income qualified members as it alleviates these burdens, as I mentioned, and reduces their utility costs, also fosters sustainability. And I see it also empowering our communities economically by ensuring this equitable access to affordable, clean sources and fostering environmental stewardship. But another part of that, Scott, I'll mention, and again, this goes back to economics. When we look at our numbers, and particularly when we're looking at what's driving a lot of our peak costs, a lot of it is inefficient housing. It may very well be a home that's contributing, or they may have an electric bill that's $1,000 within 1 month during the wintertime. That home is one that is contributing some of the most significant portion of my capacity costs or our cooperative's capacity costs on that peak period. So the more work that we can do in partnership with that individual, the value of our avoided peak demand costs supports any losses in energy sales that we may lose as a result of helping this individual with an energy efficiency project. And so we're seeing that in a lot of our measurement and verification work that we're doing, that the peak demand cost is really a big driver that's important. So it works both ways, really. I mean, the individual at the end of the day, they're happy. But also another extension of this is the fact that we've been able to contribute within our local economy by helping sustain perhaps that local contractor who has more work to do and continue to build their capacity to operate. And of course, as the leader of an electric cooperative, it's always important to me to ensure that we're getting the most value out of our wholesale power spend. And so three-pronged approach there, but certainly a lot of benefits that goes all the way around that can be spread.
Well, Marshall, you guys do amazing work, and honestly, with all the stuff you do, we could do multiple podcasts on your initiatives. But I want to thank you for coming on and talking about this one in particular, and all the best going forward.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thanks for all you do.
And thanks to you, our listeners, and to our sponsor, NRECA's Power Exchange and Tech Advantage. For more on this and other podcasts, visit us on electric.coop. Until next time, for Along Those Lines, I'm Scott Hoffman.
I'm Catherine Green from Southern Rivers Energy in Barnesville, Georgia. Thanks for listening to Along Those Lines. Subscribe and rate us on your favorite podcast app.